Welcome to Fair Coded, a podcast where we talk about media from the horror genre and take a queer reading of a single book, video game, film, podcast, or TV show to explore just how queer horror can be. Gather your pseudo-polyamorous crew as we continue our celebration of Drac-tober, a month-long focus on the character of Count Dracula. And this time, we're retracing our steps from London back to Transylvania by concluding our analysis of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Blah, I'm David.
Blah, I'm Tyler.
Blah, I'm Marilee.
Three podcast hosts. Now, before we start sawing off vampire heads, I want to say hello and check in with my co-host to find out how things are going for them. In a landscape of horrors that our real world has to offer, what is making y'all scared, or what is making you feel prepared?
Gain, I'm really frustrated with something, so I'm feeling scared this week.
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh. Tyler, what frustration bubbles up into fear for you this week?
I am so tired of my appetite, just getting tired of yummy lunches that I make immediately after making them. Like, I was making wraps, even like semi-inconsistently for a couple weeks with like different flavors of hummus, different toppings, and they were all like veggie and healthy. And now I'm just like, I can't fucking stand the sight of a fucking hummus wrap. And then I'll look and I'll look up salads that I really want to make. And I make that salad and I make it maybe like 2 or 3 times. And then I'm like, I have to eat another one of these salads. I'm going to lose it. And I'm like, I can't figure it out. Why is lunch so difficult? Because I also just watched a fucking YouTube video series. Or like a series of YouTube videos, and they were all like, here's how to make a 15-minute lunch. First, cook a chicken breast. And it's like, bro, if you're asking me to fucking cook a chicken breast for lunch, that's dinner now.
No. Yeah. Tyler, this is so Mike Arnold coded, truly and honestly. Like, this is very, I must eat different foods because of the nature of globalism and the access to different foods.
Certainly.
I have the sociopathic opposite of this, where I could eat I could do that meal prep thing that like fitness bros do where they have like rice and a plain chicken breast, because I can switch a switch in my brain that is like, this food is for fuel. And somehow that is tolerable for me. But if I were to ask Mike to do it, it would be like I am torturing him.
Yes.
And that is you.
Yes. Mike and I are the same in this regard.
Even though you're making what sounds to be delightful, it doesn't sound like rice and a plain boiled chicken breast. It sounds like a flavorful explosion of local culinary delights that are in harvest. And yet, if you have it 3 times in a row, you're just done.
Yeah, totally. Even on separate days. Like, if I have something else in between, I'll still just be like, okay, it's Thursday. It's been a few days since I made this wrap. Time to make this wrap. And my fingers repel against the container of hummus.
I love
it's like in the original Wizard of Oz when the Wicked Witch tries to grab the ruby slippers and the little lightning bolts pop out.
Well, hey, listen, that would make me want to eat the hummus even more.
That's so funny. Tyler, I know exactly what you mean. I'm just grateful that it happens for you before you make the food, because on more than one occasion I have made myself lunch. And then I looked at the food that I just prepared that I was excited to eat 30 seconds ago, and the idea of putting it into my body makes me want to throw up. So,
Marilee, that is actually way worse than my thing. So thank you for helping to put things in perspective for me.
Yeah, no, it just like really sucks, because it's either you eat this thing that you hate suddenly, or you waste food and are just hungry instead.
Mm-hmm.
Worse.
And the wasting of the food, that's where my crazy comes in, because I have like this intolerance to disposing of food, even when it is like past the point of being ill inducing. Like, I will eat expired food,
buddy,
because I've gotten a lot better at it. But like, when we lived in Texas many years ago, there was a box of pancakes that had moved a couple apartments and into our house, like instant pancakes that had dehydrated milk in them. And they were well past the expiration date. And I made them anyway because I was convinced that I couldn't afford not to have this $2 box of Bisquick or whatever. And no amount of syrup would change the flavor of the pancake. It was so vile, and yet I kept eating them.
Oh dear.
Buddy.
Well, that is frightening. So, David, I must ask, do you have anything else frightening, or maybe something you're prepared for?
You know what's wild is I am scared, and it actually does line up really nicely with this conversation, but not intentionally.
Oh.
I am scared because I'm having a little bit of a rough tummy day.
Oh, buddy.
And we all know a rough tummy day when you can't trust a fart. And, it's just, I don't like that. I don't like that feeling. I don't like that sensation. I don't like the gurgle. I have a stomach that makes a very audible amount of noise when it is in distress or when I am hungry. Like I am a cartoon character when I am hungry. You can hear it on the other side of the room. And I used to be embarrassed about it, and now I think that it's kind of charming.
I find that very charming.
If it happens in public, I'll just be like, oh yeah, bitch, I need to eat. Like you've seen a cartoon that just happened. I am fucking Yogi Bear in this moment.
Mike is looking like a big turkey leg.
Truly and honestly. And I talk about expired food. Zing. Here's the deal. I can't identify the origins of it. I didn't sleep super well last night, and I think that can throw off your gut biome. And I think as I continue to age, the number of things that can affect my gut biome becomes an increasingly longer list versus when I was 20 and could
eat expired pancake mix.
Eat it expired. I could drop raw cookie dough into toxic waste and eat it and be fine. And today, all parts of that are illness inducing.
Yeah, true. I feel that, David. I also suffer tummy problems on the reg. So does Marshall. I think we all do. I think part of being a podcaster is you're gonna have tummy problems. Marilee, do you have tummy problems?
I feel bad because I get tummy problems occasionally, but clearly not enough to get a podcaster card, I guess.
You're literally podcasting. I think you got the card.
Podcasting. B, I can reinforce based on my knowledge of other Glitterjaw hosts' intestinal fortitude, which for some reason I am aware of, that this does sort of hold for most of the guts that I am aware of in our crew are suspect to distress.
We are bitches that shit. Really.
We are bitches that shit.
Girls
Damn,
poop,
I hate
bitches shit, and we are bitches that shit.
I hate that I don't pull episode titles from the Scared and Prepared, because We Are Bitches Who Shit is a pretty solid one, Tyler.
It's a new t-shirt idea.
Listen, y'all are hot girls with tummy issues. I get it. I understand.
Yeah, we are. I've never been evaluated for it, though. It's never seemed consistent enough to ask a medical professional for their advice. Although now, I can go to the doctor for anything and it's free. So maybe the time is ripe to actually make inquiries about it.
Go for it.
And bragging about that free healthcare.
Yeah, and you know what? This is a great opportunity for you to practice with your whiteboard and your Spanish and hear about your digestional tract. What's that in Spanish?
Yeah, this is great. I should write it down. I wish that I could show you, but I think the amount of maneuvering I'd have to do with the camera to show you where the whiteboard is might be difficult. Oh, you can.
Oh, there
you can
it
see
is.
Oh,
It's
my
down
goodness.
there. It's down there. Yeah. When the desk isn't in standing mode, it's right at eye level.
It was looking pretty blank there, David.
Yeah. Okay. Here. Okay. Well, just linger on the whiteboard for one more moment, but then I want to give Marilee her time in the sun. For folks who don't remember, I got a whiteboard. We're writing Spanish on it. I did not realize that the whiteboard marker that they sent wouldn't come with an eraser attached to it, which feels like a standard operating procedure for giving a single marker with a whiteboard. And so I have no means to erase anything that I write on the whiteboard. We have to buy a whiteboard eraser, and that has proven to be a substantially difficult task for some fucking reason.
Sorry, are whiteboards different in Europe? Can you not get a slightly damp paper towel and just...
Yeah, I totally can, but I would prefer to have a renewable resource in this feels broken to me, and I don't know why I'm struggling with it so much.
What about that spray, the Expo spray, the whiteboard spray?
Yes, but then I still gotta wipe it with something.
Can you
Paper
not
towel.
use get a rag, have a
Microfiber
designated
cloth?
whiteboard rag?
A microfiber cloth. Wow. Okay. Well, these are all great suggestions. What I would like is an Expo eraser.
Yeah, that is insane that you are having a difficult time finding one. I was about to suggest, why don't you go to Best Buy, but it's not like we have them here anymore either, so.
Do you really not? That breaks my heart.
They
But we do have
are
something called,
diminishing.
Oh, yeah.
we have something called Media Marked. That's our Best Buy.
Ooh, that's a cuter
It's like
name.
Market. It's like Market, but there's no E.
Mm.
marked. Marilee, are you going to the marked of preparedness or scaredness this week? What are you feeling?
Sorry, I have a single flower for that transition that made me chuckle so hard.
Scaredness. Or let's put that one in the David Dictionary.
Oh, that's so great. I was all set to be here prepared, and then I found out about I'm gonna have to spend some significant money very soon on a new microphone. But so maybe I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm here prepared today because last night I stayed up unadvisedly late watching a bootleg version of Dracula, a Comedy of Terrors, and it was so fucking funny. I had such a great time.
What is this?
So,
What?
Dracula, a Comedy of Terrors went viral on TikTok like last year because it is a very funny short play. It's about like an hour and a half, and it's with like 4 people, and it's a moderner take on Dracula as like a stage production, and it's hysterical. The way that Dracula is introduced is like these 2 elevator doors open, and the 2 people on the side are spraying like a fog spray, and he like comes in all hot guy and says, "Hey, welcome to the castle. Anything you do here is your own responsibility, and we have no he gives a verbal waiver." And Jonathan Harker is like, "Hey, what?" And he's like, "Don't worry, it just has to do with lawyer stuff." Is kind of like what the vibe is. Dracula is way hotter than everybody else. Van Helsing is in drag. They weirdly switch Mina and Lucy's names and roles together.
I hate it when they do that.
Yeah, so like it's Lucy is his great love, yada yada yada, but whatever, it's fine. This is a weird choice. Dracula bakes things consistently. Jonathan is a nervous Nelly who has to find his like courage. But he's also like gluten-free, and Dracula is constantly taking the piss out of like, I've baked this one thing for everybody, and then also this thing for Jonathan that's not as good. It's very funny. The 2 of them kiss actually at one point, which makes it a 15 out of 10 in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Dracula and Jonathan kiss, I'm for it.
This is wild. Are there performances of this that are like active and out in the world?
I have no idea. I think I have done no research. I just remember this is the one production. I think that they originated it. I don't know if anybody else is doing it, but it was so funny. I had such a great time.
Wow.
That's incredible. I mean, I love a good parody. One of my favorite things, that's what, we won a county award for our one-act play satirizing Dickens when I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love when people do this. I love taking a well-known body of work that maybe even people don't even know and satirizing it, because you have to do so much work to make sure that the audience gets it, even if they've never read the source material.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really delicious and good writing.
Yeah. It was really great. And just like there were so many things that were like so theater that were fantastic. Like the way that the stage was set up, it looked like when the lights were on, just like a kind of a standard set with like 2 different wings and like a thing in the back.
Mm-hmm.
But when the lights were off and they were doing transitions, it looked like a coffin with bat wings because there were like neon lights in the thing. It was fantastic. They cross cast the Lucy and Mina, who were sisters in this, their father with Renfield for some reason, and like whenever the 2 of them had to interact, because he was the Seward and like his house, he was the lunatic asylum, he was employing the lunatics in his like house as his servants to try and like rehabilitate them, and so whenever the 2 of them were interacting, it was barrels of laughs funny because he's like had this wig that was constantly pulling on and off. It was just a really great production.
I love that. Rich people really are like that, so I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dr. Seward's Insane Asylum, you must be referring to the second half of Bram Stoker's Dracula, because of course you are. You're literally talking about a parody of the work Dracula. This transition sucked. David, keep this in. In the first half of the novel, which we covered last week, we met the terrifying Count Dracula, whose physical body is a mixture of human and animal characteristics, and Dracula has made his way to England, where he terrorized our cast of characters. He eventually killed Lucy Westenra, an angelic and innocent Victorian woman.
The epistolary method of storytelling continues through the remainder of the novel. However, as our cast of characters begin to connect with each other, the letters, diary entries, and newspaper clippings are explicitly referenced by the other characters who compile them into a sort of scrapbook. Stoker creates an interesting level of interaction here. We're reading the same things read by the characters, which helps make the story feel more real.
If you haven't listened to our part 1 analysis of Dracula, consider pausing and listening to that. Or keep chugging along. You do you. We're excited to have you here as we wrap up the story. So how did you guys feel about the second half of Dracula? I feel like I could speak for everybody. We're like, not as good.
Yeah.
Not as good. Not as good as the first half. And I was really trying to figure out and put into words why that was. And I think what it ultimately ended up being is that I just think the pacing in the first half was very good. And the pacing here was just okay. And because we split the book, it felt very jarring that there was a difference. I just think we spent a lot of time in London, and I was kind of like, leave London. Let's get out of here. Why are you here? Leave.
And then it takes a while. Like, thankfully we eventually do, but like, I the entire time I'm just thinking like, let's just go, because like there's like the search for all of these boxes and they're finding different numbers of them. There's like more clues. They're interviewing people and we're actually having to read the interviews when it could have just like, this interview could have been an email, you know, like it's just a little too much. It feels a little Dickensian in the sense that like Dickens was paid by the word, and it feels like Stoker maybe took some of those bad habits with him, even if he wasn't paid by the word. So I think the the actual ending is really cool though.
Yeah, the ending's pretty good. Again, I do think that David is onto something with the idea of the pacing being an issue. I think that huge parts of the middle of this novel is everybody congratulating each other on like having such a good record and reading each other's diaries, which is a weird thing to read about, frankly.
It's wild. It's so wild, Marilee. It's so wild.
Yeah, like, come on. And then I think that the other problem is that we have all of the information, and the characters think they have all of the information, but are missing a bunch of stuff. And like the mystery aspect of the first half of the novel is, I think, the secret sauce that makes it work. But like once they start to put the pieces together, it should feel like really vindicating. But because of the misogyny and a couple other like dumb stuff that happens, they miss putting the final pieces together in a way that's satisfying, and they get like a couple extra chapters of fucking around for no reason.
Yeah, I didn't think about it, Marilee, but you're totally right that like honestly the misogyny is part of the reason why there's so much fluff in here, because it's a lot of like, well, we can't tell Mina because she's like too soft, even though she's like proven that she's not. And then Mina's just like, I can't tell them because I don't want them to worry about me because they think I'm too soft. So it's just like a whole bunch of like, we're just kind of going in circles while we wait for Dracula to come do his thing.
Yeah. It sucks. And as someone who clocked it as misogyny, like when you were like, I don't know, like 13, and be like, this is dumb and like, there's no reason for this. Like, I've always harbored a gripe about how it was handled, and I'm really glad that we can exercise this demon here today.
Yeah, but I even, honestly, I even felt a lot of that last week, and we talked about it in our recording, but like Lucy's mom being a raised voice away from just like Thanos dusting into the air was such a strange, but that veered almost into so wild and crazy that I was kind of like here for it. But it is the same. I mean, it's painted from the same brush that we're discussing right now, which is the misogyny brush.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing that we talked about like with Terrifier 2, where it's like if we keep on playing the same song, we're going to get tired of it. And so it's just like, oh, we've transplanted the whole, we can't tell so-and-so because they're too emotional from the first half into the second half and didn't change enough. So I'm just like, fuck it, man. Like, this is boring. So I purposely did not touch too much on that in our plot recap, just because that would be an interminable thing for us to have to keep summarizing for people. But I do think it's important, so I'm glad we're going to have the opportunity to discuss it.
Now, Tyler, before we go into our themes, we talked a little bit last time about coming to this novel, but we didn't talk openly about us all listening to different versions of the audiobook. So could I just begrudge us as a trio, 3 kept wives, as it were, to talk about the different audiobook experiences that we had?
Okay, Marilee, let's start off with you, because I think you had the most, middle ground general experience with an audiobook.
Yeah, so, again, I listened to it on audiobook. I got it for free from the library. There are a number of different versions of Dracula that you can get for free from different libraries or anything. They're all available online. And because it's in the public domain, there are lots of different versions. I picked a version from about 10 years ago because Libby and Hoopla both now accept there's no way to filter it out, but you could potentially have an audiobook that is read by AI. So I didn't want that. So I purposely found an older version because I knew for sure it wouldn't be. And so the audiobook that I had was fine. It was kind of bad, frankly. I'm not going to put them on blast too much to the audience because, again, it's a fine reading experience. It'll get the job done, especially if you're trying to read a book for a deadline, but also play a new video game that you've been excited about for years at the same time. But boy, it kind of sucked a little bit.
All right.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
Would you prefer to go up, Tyler, and talk about your experience, or would you prefer to go what I would describe as down and talk about my experience?
Let's go up, because I feel like I want to make things about me for a second.
Yes. Excellent.
I listened to an Audible audiobook. Everyone boo because I was using an Amazon service, but it was a free trial, so I'm gonna just throw that out there.
Yeah.
Boo.
Free trial.
Question mark?
Ooh, ghosts.
And this version had Alan Cumming playing Dr. Seward and
Incredible.
Tim Curry playing Dr. Van Helsing.
Incredible.
There was
Can't
also
stand this.
another cast of characters who all did very well, or at least serviceable, with their parts. Very
Dracula?
enjoyable. Dracula was just whoever was narrating the Dracula parts at that time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
then each.
so there was a Jonathan voice actor, a Mina voice actor, etc.
Okay.
But when they were reading their journal entry, if someone was speaking in there, then they tried to do a voice for that person. So Harker's voice actor would do Dracula. My favorite was whenever Alan Cumming had to do Van Helsing. So because Alan Cumming basically played Dr. Seward and Dr. Van Helsing, because Dr. Van Helsing does most of his dialogue in the Dr. Seward chapters. But then also the actor from Mina would do Van Helsing, and that was also very delightful.
Oh my gosh! Imagine getting paid to do your Tim Curry impression.
I know. Tim Curry did a pretty good job. I think it was recorded after his accident or his condition set in. His performance sounds a little bit more breathy, and you can hear more of the inhales and stuff. But honestly, he's so wonderful, and he really gives such a masterful performance as Van Helsing, especially in the Van Helsing chapters near the end of the book. I was multitasking. I was writing while I was listening, and I would literally stop what I was doing and just listen to Tim Curry and just be like, oh my God, this is legit so scary. Stoker did such a great job writing how scary this is, and Tim Curry is such a natural to performance. So that was wonderful. I highly recommend that. Obviously, I don't recommend using Amazon, even though I do. I just try to limit how much I do. But yeah, really good stuff. David, tell us about your audiobook.
Well, I wasn't going to use an audiobook, and I talked about this last week, but I was going to read it, and then just because I had to be in a circumstance where I was very distracted, I had trouble focusing on the book, I decided to listen along with the audiobook. And so I just looked on Spotify what was available to me, and didn't even realize that this was released July 29th of 2025. So this was a hot off the presses creation by Spotify, but it is real people. It was not an AI nonsense thing. Even though I, can't speak to the high level of quality. And I mean, if you're mad at Tyler for using Amazon, you should be mad at me for using Spotify. But I did what I did, and I guess it's included in Spotify Premium, which I am maybe now live on the air learning that I have. This one was narrated by Samuel James, Billy Fulford Brown, Imogen Wild, and Johnny Heller. These are all voice actors, so this is like what they do. And for the most part, it was good. The Van Helsing was too Dutch. It just simply was. But it was fantastic outside of the voices. I just wish they wouldn't have done voices. I wish they would have read the words on the page. Quincy Morris was, think of the worst stereotypical Texas accent you can do and then turn it up to like 15. Just simply, I couldn't handle it. I was like, don't steal my culture. I don't like this at all.
British people stealing culture. What else is new?
Shocking. To the point that I'm surprised they didn't add in like a darn tootin' every once in a while, just because that was the vibe that I was getting.
That's insane.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for letting me have this moment to talk about our audiobook experiences. I think folks should look at the library version that Marilee had available. That was probably the way to go. And you get to support your local library, which is different in the United States than it is over here.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Support your local library. It's very important.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Honestly, get a better audiobook. Find something better than the one that was published by Duke Classic. I know I said I wasn't going to put it on blast because it's fine, but like,
wow.
Duke Classic 10 years ago, not so good.
Duke Classic, come on the podcast. Defend yourself.
Duke Classic. I'm Mr. Duke Classic. Hey, you know what else I actually am? I'm Mr. Themes, because tonight...
You are Mr. Themes.
We are talking about our themes for Dracula, the second half of Bram Stoker's masterpiece novel. Our first theme of the day is liminality, queerness, and vampires. In our last episode, we talked about how Count Dracula is queer because his physical body represents a mixing of different genders, classes, and cultures. Mina Harker is bitten and forced to drink Dracula's blood, which causes her to begin transforming into something else. Mina never fully becomes a vampire, but for the last third of the novel, she is also not fully human. She is instead a liminal figure, a representation of a new type of woman who marries the angel of the house with new woman concepts. Mina is technologically capable and organized, but also emotional and beloved by the men in her life. Although Dracula proclaims that all of England's women are his, Mina is a strong, queer-coded woman who does not fit in with traditional roles. This leads to Dracula's downfall.
I love Mina in this. I mean, one of the two of you said this last time, which was that part one is all about Lucy. Mm-hmm. Lucy. And part two is all about Mina. And I love that because I do think Mina has so much of this new woman going around. There's still plenty of misogyny to lay at her feet, because while she can use a typewriter, which is a really big deal for Mina, in the way that I was kind of like, oh, is this that girl who came to college with like her granddad's Underwood and is like, this is my personality, is I have a typewriter. Sorry if I just put you on blast, listeners. I know who you are, queers. But then we also had to like marry the new woman of it all with a little bit of like, oh, Mina is still corruptible and like innocent and naive. Because at one more time she's like, what's a phonograph? Like, how are you recording this? That happened in this section, right?
Yes, it is.
Where like someone had to describe like how a phonograph worked. And I was like, girl, you know how this works. You've been like doing shorthand and typing shit. Like I could have lost that whole thing. Oh, I hated that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem. I think it's part of, this novel came out in the 1890s, and feminism wasn't really a thing, kind of, like the way we think of it now. Just was not the norm back then. So I do think, like, for the time being, this is really progressive writing for a woman. I think it's the fact that they are talking about how she... like whenever she talks about impurity and how she's impure, it's because of the vampirism, but the men are never like, oh yeah, she's like disgusting and a slut or anything like that. So I really like that. I think that's really interesting. And I think because she kind of ascends beyond just being a human and she's not a vampire and she's like key to stopping Dracula because, she has a connection to him now. I think it really creates kind of like this interesting, very queer thing where if she's not really the angel of the house, she's not a new woman, she's still going through misogyny, but she's well loved and appreciated it, for her intelligence. I think it's kind of just like this brand new thing that Stoker created. And I think that's very queer. I think if you are a queer person, especially if you are like female identifying, I think Mina is someone that you could really get behind because she does not fit into any archetype. She is a brand new thing. And I think that's awesome.
You're absolutely correct, but I will say, like, not only is she a brand new thing, she also fits very neatly in two boxes that we've already established as being incredibly queer. Because vampires are always queer, I've always said this, and we've also talked a lot about how being a psychic girl means that you are queer or queer-coded, and having this psychic connection to Dracula, that's pretty psychic, that's pretty queer. And then also, all of the men are also vampire hunters, which means they're also queer. It's queer all over, I've always said this.
Right.
Yeah. We well covered all these roles when we talked about Banicula.
Yes, we did, baby. That's genuinely one of my favorite episodes of this year still. That one was great.
I am legit so happy that our first serious dive into vampires was Banicula. And Banicula is our foundational text for
So
everything
stupid.
vampire.
It's so stupid.
It's perfect.
It's so fear coded is what it is. I love it.
It's very true. Another very fear-coded thing is the pursuit of knowledge, which is our second theme of today's episode. So Dracula thrives in the dark, both literally and figuratively. Marilee really hit this on the head that for the first half of the novel, our characters are mostly clueless because they don't know what they're dealing with, and this allows Dracula to wreak havoc across London. In the second half of the novel, however, the characters begin to read each other's writing, compile them, learn from them, and also complement each other on their writing, which as an English major and big fucking nerd, that's actually not very foreign to me at all. I do that sort of thing all the time with my friends. But Van Helsing even goes so far as to say that the knowledge that they have acquired from this writing is going to be the thing that helps them defeat Dracula. The affinity for science and reason, and then the companionship that these characters form with one another to celebrate that science and reason against the mysterious supernatural is crucial to the crew's success.
Yeah. I think that maybe the culprit here was our break. And I did what I said on our recording, and I read something else before coming back to Dracula because this was fine, that it was not maybe reading for pleasure in the way that like I typically do. And so I read some garbage William Shatner sci-fi, which is delightful. But I was very startled by us jumping from Dracula being like, he, no one knows what I am up to, into the second part of the book being like, oh, we know like everything you are up to, and we are going to go find these 50 boxes of dirt and destroy them. And my God, 50 boxes of dirt in the first half of this was kind of like, oh, cool, whatever, 50 boxes of dirt. But the notion that this was hanging over our heroes in the second half, I was like, this is insurmountable. And then they were like, no, watch me mountable it. Certainly.
You're doing all sorts of things with words this episode, and I love it.
I'm doing words with friends. That's what I'm doing.
I am with you on that, David. I think that's part of the flaw in the second half. I don't even think the break is our culprit, because I remember when I read this in grad school having the exact same feeling, although a hurricane did hit, so there was a break. So maybe I've just cursed myself again.
Oh my God.
But I do feel like the whole thing with the boxes, I don't really have much memory of from when I first read this, because it's just like, I don't know, man. They're just searching for boxes of dirt. The real meat is when they're talking to Renfield. Like, the Renfield stuff is so fascinating. Or when they're interacting with each other and trying to, like, break down, like, oh, this is what the vampire is, which I enjoyed because it was, like, a lore explication, and I like lore. Yeah. In terms of, like, queerness, though, I found that the queer themes really come through in this second half, because we have a found family, which we're going to talk about in our next theme. But we also have them learning from each other, sharing information, looking for ways to stop a threat to their safety. I mean, this is all very common in the queer community. So again, I feel like it's honestly kind of weird reading this, because on the one hand, I'm just like, yeah, Dracula is like our queer hero here. He's like going in and he's disrupting the status quo of these like Christian, racist, people, white people. But then at the same time, like, there are people in there that I really care about, and that's what the Crew of Light is. I care about them. I really love that Stoker shows that the men are willing to be vulnerable with one another and actually talk about their emotions and feelings, which you don't see too often in modern day literature written like from a man's perspective.
Right.
And so I really appreciate that. And I think that, again, if you are like a queer person and you're like, well, I love Frankenstein, or I love Dracula, like in the different movies, or I watch Sinners and I really love that. You know, this like original key text of vampirism and vampires and Dracula, I think really does speak to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally agree.
Mm-hmm. So that leaves our third and final theme for today's episode, which is the Crew of Light, our found family. So our cast of characters come to refer to themselves as a Crew of Light. They are the goodness of humanity against the evil of the vampire Dracula, and they also search for the truth hidden in his dark mysteries. They also all love Mina in their own way, and each man relies on another for emotional support. They all come to learn the importance of not hiding truths from the other, and they come to one another's defense at the drop of a hat. They are a found family, and found families are queer. We own that.
Again, this is one of those things that I've said since probably one of our earliest episodes. This has been a thing that I constantly harp on because I deep in my soul truly believe this. I think that found family is a queer trope. Anytime you have a group of people who have banded together that are choosing each other, whether it's like choosing each other in opposition of their blood family or whatever, like just any kind of difficulty that they are arrayed against. I find that a deeply queer, true to life kind of narrative trope, because a lot of the time queer people like form groups, and these people, these very close friends that you have, are some of the closest people to you. And to see a found family is to see a queer family by definition of the word, because it's not part of the normal typical family structure. So this Crew of Light that they've banded together, even though there's no queer activity, it is a queer dynamic. You know what I mean?
Yes, 100%.
Though, again, the fact that we learn in this half of the book that all of the suitors for Lucy were all friends for years and have been like on hunting trips together and like know each other backwards and forwards. And then they all went after the same girl who loved all of them equally. Again, it's just, they were in love with each other. It was a polyamorous thing. That's all that there is to it.
This was a much better version of the Losers Club from It, especially because they didn't, like all have sex with her. But they did all put their blood in her, as we discussed.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we'll talk about...
Oh, that was Lucy. That wasn't even Mina.
Yeah, no, like, again, it seems like Mina and Jonathan have been accepted into the queer polycule as just, like, buddies. You know what I mean?
That.
Like, they're the straight couple that they're friends with. Except, of course, that Mina and Lucy were also girlfriends, so...
Yeah. Well, listen, I think that your bisexual girlfriend is able to bring her opposite sex lover to Pride one time, and he's got to pay for the drinks. And that's your job, Jonathan Harker.
Mm-hmm. Jonathan Harker could also be bisexual. We don't know that. Again, Jonathan and Dracula, great couple.
Yeah, Jonathan seems a little fruity to me.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Again,
That's fair. They all seem a little fruity to me.
Yeah,
that too.
Gosh, I wonder why. It's almost like potentially queer writers could have queer characters. Gosh. No, but like,
here's the deal though. This found family shit sings at the end of this half of the book.
Yes.
Not in the middle of the half of the book.
No, it's because they get bogged down by misogyny. It's such a bummer.
They do. But at the end, this becomes a fucking D&D campaign where they're going to Transylvania and the like party splits up and you scream no. And it's just like, it's a wild good time once we do that. But I think it might even just be the last 2 chapters that happens.
Yes.
Okay, good. I put few and then I was like, I think it was actually just 2.
Which is insane. Like, imagine all of this build up to the best part of the book and you just get fucking 2 chapters of it. We could have cut ages of London shit for more of this.
Yeah,
or like the whole, like, we have to track down Dracula, and it's so hard to track down Dracula, and we got to talk to so many people to find Dracula, and it's like, girl, this could have been a montage.
Yeah, no, and he's just going home. That was
he's
so
just
obvious.
going home.
It was so
That was
obvious.
so crazy.
Every queer person, when they get overstimulated, just goes straight fucking home.
Just go straight home. I do love that Bram Stoker was like, you know what I've got to make sure I get is the solicitor market for this novel. I need them to read some Lincoln lawyer ass shenanigans where like somebody is solving a crime through procedural operations. Because that is sort of what we get with Harker. He's like, I met with this person and asked them where somebody lived, and they sent me a telegram 3 hours later with the address of where someone lived. And I was like, oh my God, I hate this so much.
It's dreadful. I was speeding up the audible.
Oh, samesies. No, like there's one bit of like the lawyer of it all that I did find really rewarding and satisfying. The rest of it really could have been a lot shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But once we get to Transylvania, it fucking kicks ass. We're rolling for initiative every other word. Like it's just a crazy wild time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like to me, I think like calling it a D&D campaign feels so accurate because it does kind of feel like after Lucy dies, that's like the initiating action for like the party to form, and then they go kill Strahd because now we're in Curse of Strahd. Like it's so like they're running into vampire brides, their horses die, everyone's got a weapon. Mina pulls a fucking revolver out. Like,
listen.
Oh God, not a revolver. She's got like a boar gun. Those things are fucking huge.
no, I thought it was a revolver. Oh my God, what the hell is she do with one of those? She's gonna go flying into a tree when she fires that thing.
Yeah, like it was. I remember this very specific. Maybe she had a revolver too. By that point, again, I was playing Hades, so maybe not the most paying attention. But very specifically, when they are splitting up, Jonathan insists that Mina is also armed, and like she talks about how she has a boar gun, and I like had to pause and be like, she has what? Because that's fucking huge, and specifically to deal with like the wolves that surround the countryside. But like still, it's a fucking huge rifle.
Incredible.
Hand cannon, nothing. Regular cannon.
Get it. Blast this man away. I loved how many guns there were, just because I, a sophisticated person from 200 years in the future, know that you can't shoot Dracula. But every character in this book doesn't have the benefit of knowing years and years of Dracula lore. And they're like, we can just shoot it.
Yeah. But, you know,
I'm obsessed with the idea that Bram Stoker read like a Penny Dreadful set in the West and got obsessed with this. It was just like, I'm going to make a cowboy boyfriend for me, and I'm going to put him in the novel, and then everyone's going to have guns, and they're going to ride on horses, and there's going to be like a carriage chase, and then Dracula's henchmen are like the Native Americans that are like chasing. Oh man. It totally fits.
Definitely.
I didn't connect as much of that as you did. Yeah. I 100% picked up on a lot of it, but the more and more bricks you laid in the structure that is Bram Stoker's cowboy western kink, the more I am 100% bought into this.
Yeah. One last thing before we move on to the next theme. I just want to point out that the Crew of Light, like this, our group of queer heroes that we are so fond of and attached to, so rarely get adapted looking anything like themselves. And I do think that's because they're so queer. Modern filmmakers don't know what to do with that. And so they jettison all of the queer shit and leave all of the best parts of these people on the cutting room floor.
That's really a shame.
Yes.
I know. Give me the like Stephen King's miniseries of The Shining, but for Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like, I want a straightforward adaptation of this novel, but let's throw some montages in there for the second half. Because, like, again, this whole thing could have been an email. This whole thing could have been a montage as they're like trying to talk to different people.
Yeah,
and
make
look for
this
boxes
part
of dirt.
20 minutes out of your 10-episode miniseries.
There you go.
Ooh, do this like sequence with the Dracula fight, like that one shot gun battle from the first season of True Detective.
Oh my God, that would fucking rip.
Give me like a whole episode, like the whole finale is just a oneer about the death of Dracula.
Tyler's shitting out money over here for production costs, but okay. Wow.
Again, it doesn't have to be a real oneer. It could be like those match cuts that they do a lot of the time where they
I'm very insistent. It has to be a real oneer. I want to let's get the Mike Flanagan Get him away from Amazon and his Exorcist adaptation. Get him on board with my Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is different than the 90s Bram Stoker Dracula, because Keanu Reeves is not playing Jonathan Harker with a questionable accent.
Listen, I don't hate this. Rahul Kohli playing Harker would be amazing to me. I would love that.
Ooh. Yeah, I would want him to be like Dr. Seward, but I'm
that's a better choice.
Yeah. I also want to see him in like distress, because that'd be hot.
But like, what if we just did this like Norbert style, and it's all Rahul Kohli, just every role.
Also fine with that.
Sold.
Can't have a oneer in that case. But I think it's worth it. Tyler.
Give me the people who do the prosthetics for Star Wars, and I can make a movie. Right, I can make a miniseries.
Great. Well, listen. To make a miniseries, we have to discuss the genre associated with this, except we don't, because we did this last episode. So we have already declaratively said that the novel Dracula is horror. You're welcome, world. We said it. So instead, I want to use this time to ask each of you, what was the most horrific moment in the story for you?
I have to say, like, the descriptions of despair of the Crew of Light as they descended to Dracula's realm, just because for like this whole second half of the novel, they've been very like, we got this, we could do this. Okay, we've had a setback and it sucks, but we could do this, we can still do this. And then they actually get like not just into Transylvania, but like to just the dark haunted woods of the area around Dracula's castle, and they're just like, shit, I think we're gonna die. And it's like seeing that shift always makes me get like goosebumps. So I thought that was really well done. Also really well done in large part because of Tim Curry's narration in my audiobook was the bride's attack on Van Helsing and Mina during the night, because like I can see all of this happening. It's just so pitch black except for like the fire, and we see these scary but very sexy women, and Mina is also like kind of acting more vampiric and lusty, so it's just Van Helsing, and Van Helsing is like starting to freak out, which you never like want to see. So excellent. Chef's kiss, tour de force. Thank you, Tim Curry.
Tyler, this is something I've noticed in like the last 3 episodes or so, but truly every time like the authority figure who's supposed to be calm, cool, and collected starts to freak out is when you panic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, thank you for reading into that. That's normally a David thing to do, but I'm glad my weird psychological hang-up has been put on blast.
In my defense, Marilee's observation was very Freudian, and I just don't have time for that. I don't have time for Freudian analysis here, Marilee.
How dare you accuse me of being similar to Freud? Like, god damn it.
Yes. Both of you fight, and then I won't have to answer the question.
Marilee, what about you? What did you think was the most horrific part of the story?
I think that the bride's attack really is like the standout showpiece for horror in this section. But honestly, to me, the scariest parts of the novel were in the first half, so I didn't want to.
Fair.
That's fair.
Both Jonathan's ordeal as well as very specifically the sleepwalking episode with Lucy. That's so the thing. Good. Like the sleepwalking is the scariest part of the novel to me.
Yeah. Wow, it would really suck to be hearing an ad right now. If you want to enjoy an ad-free listening experience, you can join the Fear Coded Patreon at patreon.com/fearcodedpodcast. For as little as $1 a month, you get access to early and ad-free episodes on your very own podcast feed. And extra bonus content begins at $3 a month. So consider joining today at patreon.com/fearcodedpodcast. Now, don't worry, we aren't going to start hawking harmful teletherapy programs created by obscene tech bros, but if you would like to skip ads just like this one, you can join the Fear Coded Patreon at patreon.com/fearcodedpodcast and support queer artists for as little as $1 a month. But now, back to the horrors. I think for me, I got to give it up a little bit to Renfield's death. It maybe bummed me out more than it scared me, but it was horrifying because I kind of thought Renfield would end up being a final girl. I was pulling for him because he had some like moments of like redemption in this part. So I didn't like that he died, but for me, what took the cake, and I was just considering the second half, I should have read the question more clearly, because I might have also picked Jonathan being trapped in the castle, because that was pretty scary. But to me, it was the first confrontation with Dracula. I really loved how it was described. I loved that he got a little bit of monologuing out. I loved that he got not cut, but he got almost cut, and that was enough to like raise his hackles. I really was vibing on it. It was giving me some really good like feeling, and I really appreciated that face-to-face conflict, and then his escape through the stables. And somebody should have thought of that. You idiots.
For real. David, that's so funny, and I love that. Especially because to me, that whole sequence reads like a comedy.
But it was very scary at first. I guess that was what I'll say. When he erupts into the room and they're first confronting him, it was very high stakes. And then I really liked that the stakes got cut by everything that happened following.
Oh, yeah. No, it's just like the way that like the gang gathers, they're watching the door slowly turn, and they're like, we're gonna jump him, and then I thought it was really funny.
It is. It absolutely is. I think there's many parts of this story that are really funny if you actually imagine how they play out.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. Horror and comedy are two sides of the same coin. I've always said this. The two of them are intricately connected, and it's all about pacing. So I love that we're getting both sides of that in the same scene, David. Both sides of that in the same theme. I don't know about that transition, actually.
No, that's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Spit roast
David,
us merrily.
David, keep it in.
We also decided last week that Dracula is queer definitively. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So let me ask you this. If you wrote Dracula for the modern day, how would you make it more queer?
Here is what I wanted, desperately in my heart, especially during the scene that I'm talking about where Drac does get a little bit of monologuing out. I wanted him to go full Magneto. I wanted him to try to convince the heroes that this was the only way that we could save London from its terrible heterosexuality, was to make everyone vampires. I wanted that moment, and I really actually thought we were going to get it. I really thought he was going to try to make a compelling argument, and that would have turned this in to an incredible experience. I would love to see this in future adaptations. Again, as I mentioned last week, I've seen nothing from here on in, so maybe there is a future Dracula that's got a little bit more Magneto in it. If not, I think it's ready for you to take. I think that a queer saying the only way to solve the problems that I face being discriminated against in a heteronormative world is to make everyone queer. I think that's universal. I think it's brilliant, and I think it's the exact thing you give a villain to do.
Yeah,
I
totally
love that. David, I didn't read ahead, so I didn't see you invoke Magneto here, but I just wanted to tell you, while Tyler was talking about how like the Crew of Light versus Dracula is like a queer versus queer argument, I kept thinking to myself, it's just that Magneto is with the Brotherhood of Evil Gays, which obviously everyone would want to join, even if you want to be on like the X-Men who are defending the world from the like being the heroes. Brotherhood of Evil Gays is so good.
That's where the Blob is, and nothing moves the Blob from my heart.
What about you, Tyler?
Okay, so I would make the Crew of Light just canonically polyamorous. I would want them, if I made them for today, I would want them making out with each other. I would want them holding hands. I want them kissing. I want them crying. I want them holding one another while they kiss and cry. It would be really gay, and I love that.
Yeah.
Marilee, what about you?
Here's the thing. The way that I read this question, I was a little confused. Are we doing like a modern day adaptation? So like they're all set in today? Or is it like just a modern, like making a back then adaptation?
No, I still want them to be in old-timey clothes for my particular fantasies.
I love that.
Like maybe you wrote it for today, but it's still set in like the 1890s.
Okay. Because I'm going to steal an answer from Tumblr yet again. There was a poll that went around last year, I think, that was like, if you're in charge of adapting Dracula, but you can't include one character, which one do you cut? It was a list of all of the characters, and overwhelmingly, do you know who the character that people wanted cut was?
I hope it's Dracula.
It was Dracula.
It's the right answer. It's truly the right answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I genuinely would be obsessed with like watching this polycule like run around and do stuff and not include Dracula at all. But nobody's gonna do that. So, I just wanted to throw that answer out there because I thought it was really funny.
That's awesome. I would watch Gay Penny Dreadful.
Right? Well,
well.
it's
maybe
there
you will.
for you. I wish Penny
Maybe you
Dreadful
will.
was gay. Unfortunately.
Well, we're not here to talk about Penny Dreadful. We are here to talk about the second half of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Again, the novel written by Bram Stoker, not the film Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Which we will definitely talk about at some point, just not this month.
Not this Drac-tober. So let's go ahead and jump into the plot beat by beat. Lucy Westenra is dead. The men are appropriately grief-stricken. Van Helsing safeguards Lucy's coffin with garlic flowers and a crucifix in her mouth, and Mina writes about how heartbroken she is. Lucy was so innocent and so kind, but at least she's at peace. News bulletin. A, quote, bloofer lady terrorizes the children of London. The children always return home with 2 little wounds on their necks, similar to the ones that Lucy had. Van Helsing grows concerned, but Seward has difficulty accepting the truth. Meanwhile, Jonathan and Mina see a tall man with a black mustache, and Jonathan is stricken with terror as he realizes that Dracula has made his way to England.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Okay, can we bloofer real quickly?
God.
Yeah.
Can we? It's so
What the
dumb.
fuck?
Bloofer.
What the fuck is this?
I don't know.
I Googled
It's so
it.
stupid.
I Googled it like in middle school as soon as I got to a computer because I was like, what the fuck is this supposed to mean? Apparently it's supposed to be a mispronunciation of beautiful, and like that's just the beautiful lady and a beautiful Buford. I guess it's supposed to be like some sort of Cockney rhyming thing, but it's dumb and stupid, and you could like give me something else other than Buford. That's bad.
I
hated
think the
this.
children of London should be eaten for coming up with such a stupid name.
Yeah.
Yes. You and Thomas Paine are on the same page. The Irish should just eat their young. Okay, well, now that we know what bloofer is, that I was so thrown off by the word not making any fucking sense to me.
Yeah.
That I couldn't even connect the dots that this was Lucy, right? Like this is Lucy who's eating all these children.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that took me out so much, but it, truly and honestly, the word bloofer, I just could not keep going.
Yeah.
It genuinely makes me so. It genuinely makes me so mad that bloofer is supposed to be like Stoker's interpretation of Cockney rhyming slang for beautiful when it sounds almost like bloody. So it could be like bloodder lady or something. Just something that would have been like a clue that like they're talking about someone with maybe she's got blood on her face, which she does. Like
it sounds like an enemy from Fallout 5. Like I just truly and honestly, we were beyond the pale on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't love that sort of thing, but like I do like that Van Helsing is the one who's just like I gotta make this man understand. Like, and because this is a tall order, and Van Helsing has to lay so much groundwork to be like, hey, you trust me on like every other thing that I've ever talked about, right? And I'm going to list every other thing that I've ever talked about just to really hammer home that point. And it's like, oh my God, fuck. Get it together, man. But I do like that eventually the connection is made.
Okay, see, I like that you like that personally. I got really frustrated with Van Helsing in this scene because I kept thinking about, if you had talked about any of this stuff when Lucy was still fucking alive, you would not be having such a hard time convincing people now that she's dead. And like, I understand that he doesn't want to shock the Victorian mind with the supernatural unduly, I suppose, but just the way that Van Helsing keeps secrets, really frustrated me as a reader, and it has the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I like that it ends up being a conflict in the second half, merely, and it does make for good queer analysis. Like everyone's got a secret, That's pretty gay. We love that.
Yeah.
We love having secrets.
That is true. We have talked about that quite a bit. But you know what isn't a secret? Dracula has come to England. And he's looking younger. Drop the skincare
Yes.
routine, Drac.
It's just blood. He and Lady Bathory, which is not the real pronunciation for her name, but I don't remember the actual one. The two of them have teamed up and are like, yeah, you just bathe in blood and you'll be so young.
The blood of virgins.
Wow, this podcast became a MLM scam run by like weird tech billionaires so quickly. I didn't even see it coming.
Goop, you're gooped.
Yeah,
some may
Goop.
say.
This was Goop. This is fucking Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop.
It's Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop mixed with Elizabeth Holmes. Like we're scamming.
Oh my god!
Wow, maybe we need some misogyny. Just a little bit. Just right now.
Just a taste.
Just to for these people.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I do like that, like, because Dracula actually has de-aged, though. Like, it kind of ramps up the terror, because it's just like, oh god, he can de-age fucking too. Yeah. And then Jonathan passing out as a result of that. Mm-hmm. It's again kind of playing up the Harker is the real damsel in distress here, and that like
he's the queer
really
heroine,
kind of continues for quite a while. Yeah, that continues for quite a while.
I loved it for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, because I think in his description he's still got like a streak of white in his hair.
We love what you've done with your hair.
So it's showing that like the de-aging is not yet complete, and so if he stayed in London, he could get like younger and more like vicious potentially. I thought that was really fun. Mm-hmm. And then it kind of hints that like the strength that Jonathan saw in the other, like in Transylvania, was him at his most diminished, and so he's even more terrifying now. I thought that was really great. Also, it did remind me of seeing young Gary Oldman in the actual movie Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I thought was that was one of the scenes that they nailed, frankly.
I can't not think of that scene. Although I am mad that they did the whole, like, Mina is actually, like, the reincarnated
They
love.
originated it there, and so I am mad at it for that.
Okay.
That one is bullshit.
Well, nothing can make me mad at Gary Oldman, so let's just put that out.
We won't be mad at Gary Oldman. We'll be mad at the movie writers.
You could be mad at Gary Oldman for some things. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I don't. Maybe
we'll
I
have
don't
to talk. We'll have to talk about that during the Bram Stoker's Dracula, the movie, not the book. But we have to continue Bram Stoker's Dracula, the book, not the movie. Got it. After some investigation by Van Helsing and Dr. Seward, the men find Lucy and an unconscious child in her graveyard. Lucy's body is beautiful, unnervingly so, and Seward accepts that Lucy has become a vampire. Although Arthur Holmwood, who is now consistently referred to as Lord Godalming, has difficulty accepting this truth, he and Cowboy Quincy Morris agree to join Seward and Van Helsing in the graveyard. The men discover the vampire Lucy, hellfire in her eyes, her mouth stained with blood, and an unconscious child in her arms. Lucy attempts to lure Holmwood to her in a lustful manner, but Van Helsing leaps between them with a crucifix aloft. Lucy returns to her tomb, and the men agree to return the next night to kill the monster in Lucy's guise. The next night, the men return to the graveyard. Holmwood kills the vampire Lucy, essentially freeing the good part of Lucy still inside. Van Helsing departs back to Amsterdam, but not before telling the crew that they will soon need to discuss the terrible task that awaits.
I liked all this. I liked the conflict with Lucy. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, Lucy still being the main character here really rules its continuity with the first half.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't love Arthur Holmwood having a different name. It also confused me, and I don't know if I'm just too dumb for this book, but I was like, why does he have it? Why? Listen, people can change their names. I changed my name when I got married, but like, why do I have to learn another name for this book?
No, this is one of those times where it's nice to have a book with annotations.
Because his dad died and he took over as the Lord. Can we talk about how you pronounced it though? What did you say?
Godalming.
Okay, because my audiobook said Godalming, so I was really thrown off by that. Whatever is the right way, who can say.
It's a stupid name.
It's bad.
I think it's a dumb name.
Yeah, you know what's a good name? Holmwood, because it has wood in it.
But yeah, that's one of those extremely British things where when you take over as the Lord, you have your name and title changed. So it's like,
it's that sort of bullshit.
Yeah, it's like what we refer to the man as Lord Byron, but his Christian name was George Gordon.
Wow.
Wow.
That's an unsexy name.
Yeah, well,
for Lord Byron.
Lord Byron, great sexy man of history, is the reason why he goes by that instead of George Gordon.
And then we have the inverse, where Arthur Holmwood sounds way sexier than Lord Godalming.
Agreed. Although I do wonder, in a sliding doors, back to Gwyneth Paltrow, in a sliding doors world, if George Gordon had always been gone as George Gordon, would we find the name George Gordon to be sexy?
You know what? That's a point. Who can say?
It's alliteration.
Come on to the podcast, Nega Earth 3.
George Gordon, he could have been a Marvel character.
Oh my god, he could have been a Marvel character. I wish that I had a contact in the Marvel Cinematic Universe franchise. Make a new character. It's Lord Byron, but he goes by his Christian name the whole time.
Let's work with Walloping Web Snappers. We'll like do like The Secret for it. We'll just kind of put it out into the world, and then we'll see it happen.
Yeah.
The Secret. This gets worse and worse.
We have to go back to the book. Let's talk about Lucy's
Yes.
death some more.
Sure. Okay.
Please, because I love Lucy. I love this whole sequence. I didn't love Lucy's death because I love her, but she's evil and you gotta kill her.
It's great.
It's great. It's so great.
Did you all notice that she's a brunette now because she's evil? She lost her beautiful blonde hair, and now her hair is dark because she's evil.
What?
Maybe.
No, I missed that. I thought she was pale and blonde still.
No, she has dark hair in death. The evil leached her sun gold hair.
Wow.
Wow.
It comes for us all. I don't know
This
what to tell you.
explains every brunette I've ever met, including Marilee.
Wow.
And
We're
David.
evil.
Oh,
We're
no.
evil. We're evil up in here.
Yeah.
That's crazy though.
Yeah, no, I noticed you didn't put that in there. And I was like, hold on, we have to talk about this because what a Victorian thing. Like when she's the beautiful angel in the house, she's got her like golden curls. But now she's dead. She's got ring girl hair.
And what's this I see in your notes about Lucy's death as sex?
I'm so glad you ask because when David brought up it from the book and like what happened in the sewers, I was like, man, how am I going to tell you that this book also kind of has a gangbang scene? Because if you really
Wow. You're
really
right.
think about it, what happens here exactly? Her husband has to be the one to do it. He penetrates her body with like a wooden object, and they have to do it the right way. Otherwise, her soul goes directly to hell.
Wow.
Missionary only or straight to Hades.
Yeah.
No, I can't say that. Oh, I'm going to trigger Marilee. She's
No,
going to
sorry,
leave.
where's my switch?
Marilee, come back. Come
Fuck.
back.
No, but like not only that, but like all of her polycule, all of the men who gave her blood, this other form of intimacy and intercourse, are all there with them, standing around watching as her husband does her.
Yeah.
This is
Wild.
a wonderfully queer analysis you've come up with, Marilee, because like
Yeah.
even though it is like a man and a woman having sex, in the biggest quotation marks I can think of, it's very queer because she's dead, she's evil, she's a vampire, and she's a brunette. And they're surrounded by the other members of the polyamorous group, so they're also being observed. So it's also like
Yeah.
a little bit exhibition-y, a little cucky. And like, yeah, this is actually like way queerer and kind of kinkier than I originally considered. Like this is very like goth moment. This is such like a goth moment.
Yeah.
And I love your reading of it as such.
Moreover, I mean, you could also like this is the fun reading of it. We could also you could interpret it as like conversion sex because she's a queer vampire and they're fixing her with straight sex.
Yeah.
That is also
that is a reading that I was a little bit more aligned to. I don't love it because I want the queers to be queer and I also want the vampires to be queer. But you're right. It is almost like conform to us, in their action of killing her. It is about like the only good way to be queer is to be with us and alive. But they are right. She is evil and killing children.
No, like obviously the
Yeah.
blue fur lady is bad for a variety of reasons, not only her name. And so like they're doing a good thing, but like you can view it through this other lens. Like we love them as queer, so we're gonna look at it this one way, but like the general societal way of looking at it being that you can't have a wild woman running around with her hair after she's dyed it a dark color because she's having a mental breakdown, running around and doing things society doesn't accept of her.
I think both of these are valid and true, Marilee. I think one of the reasons why Dracula is so like fawned over, especially like in queer circles and has stood the test of time, is because we can bring so many different things to it and we can read so many different things in it. I think both of those are queer readings. It's just one is like the more negative side and one is the more positive side. I'm going to choose the more positive one because I like this idea of there being like essentially like a proto-polyamorous thing happening. And I like the idea of like, you know, you could also say like Dracula is meant to reinforce heterosexuality and reproduction because that's a thing that Dracula wants to do, is he wants to make more vampires. So by doing this, it's kind of like they're reclaiming Lucy as well for like queerdom and making her be like a polyamorous queer person again in death and when her soul has returned to good.
Yeah.
I think all of these are valid. This is so fascinating. I'm really glad. Like we talked about this a little bit the other day when we were doing another recording, but like there are so many like really great moments in here. It's just they're interspersed with like interminable descriptions of like, wow, you're so great. No, you're so great. No, you're so great.
Yeah. No, and I hadn't thought about Dracula as straightness, and now you got my brain cooking, because when you think about it, Dracula is constantly procreating, right? As opposed to the queer blood transfusions that happened earlier in the book. They were having, again, if blood transfusion is sex, they were having sex to like keep Lucy alive and with them, whereas Dracula constantly only trying to reproduce. He's the missionary sex in this version of the analysis.
I'm worried about the emails we'll get if we posit that Dracula is straight. I just,
again, this is just if you were looking through it at this lens. Obviously Dracula is queer, but like here,
okay. I was worried.
I would never say a vampire is straight.
But that's kind of the beauty of this novel, is that there's material that you could make the argument.
Yeah.
It's just I don't want to.
Oh, well, and I would even accept it for the novel. But I even though I haven't seen anything that Dracula has appeared in ever again, I do think that the future iterations are a lot gayer, and I think I'm just guessing. I think I will even see that in next week's conversation. Though I haven't watched it yet, I'm pretty sure I will see more queerness on the screen than I have in the page.
We'll see. It's been a really long time since I've seen that movie also. If I have, who can say? I will say that I think that one of my favorite things about doing media analysis is that, as always, you can find more than one thing that's true about a text through analysis. And I love that. All right, so our group of vampire hunters who call themselves the Crew of Light, which, to be fair, I do think is a dumb name, begin to share information.
Oh my god, we have to stop, Marilee. You have broken Tyler's heart.
I think it's a cool name.
Oh, Tyler, I'm so sorry.
I mean, I think it sounds like a Final Fantasy IV situation, but I love.
That's why I like it. I think it's cool. It sounds like a Final Fantasy thing.
Okay, I take it back.
I broke David.
I simply cannot stand the sad look on your face. I take it all back. It's fine.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow, incredible. The Crew of Light, the best name ever.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. But it's like Victorian Avengers.
Victorian Avengers is already a better name.
Victoria Avengers, copyright Fear Code.
Okay. Anyway, the best name ever, the Crew of Light, begin to share information with each other. Each character, Mina especially, is affected by the writings and records of tragedy. Harker begins a new diary that he can also write of his new experiences with that count. Everything's happened so much. Seward finally starts to put together that Renfield's behavior may be connected with Dracula's. And by Seward, we mean Mina, who puts that together and tells him about it.
Did I give credit to a man instead of a woman again?
Wow, Tyler. I don't often suggest people go to a Freudian, but maybe it is time to evaluate what's going on.
I'm so upset. What am I doing? My poor brain. Maybe I have brain fever.
Brain fever.
Oh no. Listen, go lie down or potentially go to the sea and really like think about stuff and get back to us.
Okay, but I'm going to go to like a cold sea because I cannot do Florida again.
Okay, we'll just go to
Perfect.
you have a Great Lake near you. Just go up there.
Yeah, the
That's true.
inland sea. I went there a few months ago. It was great. The crew takes turns visiting Renfield, who erratically shifts between moments of gentlemanly sanity and grieving madness. While Harker searches for the 50 boxes of dirt that Dracula had shipped to his home at Carfax, the others deduce that the true nature of the vampire, like what that is and how they might defeat him. As the crew makes progress with their hunt, Dracula pursues Mina, replicating the haunting dreams and supernatural manifestations that haunted Lucy. However, Mina refuses to express her anxieties to Harker as she doesn't want to worry him. Oh, sad. Harker, meanwhile, notices the physical changes in Mina, but refuses to tell Mina about his concerns because he doesn't want to worry her. It's a classic mix-up.
Oh my god.
Boo.
Shakespeare could never. I do like that the eventual end of this conflict is, I think it's even Van Helsing who's like, no more secrets, and and then every character immediately turns around and is like, no more secrets except for this one that I'm keeping to myself, which that's gay. That's pretty gay. I do like that. I also do love in this section that when Seward or Mina is like, I wonder if Renfield has something to do with Dracula. This is when I started to think, and it kept going through this whole section. I'm employing a different type of irony than I've ever thought about in my life, in which I have cultural knowledge that came from this book that the characters cannot possibly have because they don't live in 2025.
They don't know they're in Dracula.
Yeah, it is so wild when they're like, I wonder if we could kill him with this. And I was like, no, here's how you kill a vampire. I know how to do it. And when they get there, I'm like, well, duh. But it's kind of wild, this whole situation. Not knowing Renfield's connected, figuring out the ways in which vampires work, figuring out how you kill them, because it's them catching up to me because I live now versus when the book was written. It just gave me a little bit of like an out-of-body experience thinking about it.
You know, David, that's actually a really interesting point to bring up because I think that's a very common problem that filmmakers have whenever they're trying to adapt Dracula or Nosferatu is like, how do we beat the audience's expectations because they already know how to defeat a Dracula?
Right.
And I think Robert Eggers' Nosferatu that came out at the end of 2024 did a good job with that because instead of like all of us just knowing like, oh, well, you know, Nosferatu's going to get killed by the sunlight and he's got to get stabbed in the chest or whatever. Instead, it's a lot more like myth and like curses and stuff like that. And so we were just as clueless watching Nosferatu as the characters within Nosferatu were about how to defeat Count Orlok, who is Count Dracula.
That's cool.
So I think that's actually like a neat thing. And it's nice to see a recent Dracula adaptation or Nosferatu adaptation, which is Dracula, that kind of sees your problem, David, and then course corrects.
Yeah.
You know, this is what a great time to bring up Nosferatu because in that movie, the big difference between Orlok and Dracula was the fact that his vampire bursts into flames upon being in the sunlight, which had never been a thing before, but is now standard practice and like has been backdated onto Dracula, and like Dracula now can't go into the sunlight either. Whereas in this like version of the story, the ways that Dracula is affected by sunlight are very different, but we never get any kind of indication that he can't go in the sun. It's just that he likes to sleep. He can't move from whatever form that he's shifted in but when the sun is up. There's lots of other stuff going on, but it's not that he bursts into flames, which I think is a really interesting wrinkle to add to the vampire lore of it all.
Yeah, essentially in this story, he gets a movement penalty anytime the sun is up. Like that, like there are a lot of other things that they say, but ultimately he just goes a little slower.
Yes, and he can't change form, I don't think.
No, he can't change form, but like what the only like value of that is that he can't like move faster.
And this actually ends up feeling like just very classic, like Dungeons and Dragons sort of vibes.
Yeah,
like the party is rolling well on their intellect checks or religion checks to figure out how does a Dracula work, and then these are the slow discoveries they make, and they take that, strategize, and then put that plan into action when they then see Dracula. But their home base, as any classic DM would do to try and make the PCs, the player characters feel uncomfortable, let's have the villain attack home base.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
And I like that we begin to have hints of that. I just wish it wasn't that. It's so lazy whenever characters hide secrets from each other in stories. I can't stand it because it's like, we know what's going on. This feels like a waste of time.
Yes.
Which I think is a major criticism with the plotting that we had with this area.
I just really loved Harker in particular was the one who was at the helm of the POV, and I know I am paraphrasing just a little bit, but he does almost say, we're going to get all of our secrets out into the open, and then period, space, new paragraph, except for this one that I'm keeping just to myself. And I was just like, that was delicious because it was so catty and on the nose. I agree with you, Tyler. Usually that frustrates me a lot, but I really loved Harker in that moment.
Harker is a gay, he's our camp queen. He is the scream queen of this book, and I keep saying that, and I will keep saying that. Up to including after becoming traumatized, he is so much more ready to fight. Love him.
Yeah.
While we're talking about it, I know that we've already talked about the misogyny of it all, like of the sidelighting of Mina, which I have always found very frustrating. But I do want to point out that the sidelighting of Mina starts because of the two medical men of the age deciding she can't handle it, and then convincing all of the men that, hey, we can't have this little lady with her sensitive little lady heart and her lady mind, even though she's got a man's mind. She's so sensitive and tender, she can't be involved in all of this. And then getting all of the men to agree, and then sidelighting Mina. And that's medical misogyny all fucking over. Our friend Jonathan, whom, again, I love very deeply, he does, in his narration, he is constantly talking about, God, I wish I could talk to Mina about this. I've never had a secret from her before. This is such a bummer. I hate this. That's our feminist king, who was mislaid by medical men, and I do put the blame on them.
That being said, Dr. Seward, call me.
Yeah, listen, I still love them. I just do think it's typical Victorian male medicine at work.
Which made it so funny that Alan Cumming voiced Dr. Seward, who I think is our straightest character, it feels like, in the novel.
Are you... did we read the same book? That man has a crush on everyone around him.
I guess that's true.
He is pansexual, baby, and he especially appreciates all of the manly men around him.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. I retract that statement. David, keep it in just so I can look like a fool.
David, keep it in.
But yeah, no, no, Marilee, you're absolutely right. Dr. Seward is that. Which I was going to say, it's funny that Alan Cumming is doing it. But now I think it is funny that Alan Cumming is doing it because I can absolutely see Alan Cumming as Dr. Seward flirting with every single person that he runs into.
Great direction. Flirt with everyone.
Flirt with everyone.
But you know who he can't flirt with anymore, Tyler? He can't flirt with Renfield.
It's true. Suddenly and tragically, Renfield is found lying in his cell covered in blood. He has been attacked by Count Dracula.
Oh, my poor little baby.
I know. It turns out Renfield's heart had softened in Mina's presence. There were discussions about souls, and Renfield really didn't want to talk about it, and it made it seem like Renfield was actually concerned about the state of his soul. So seeing Mina and then realizing that Dracula has been feeding off of Mina makes him realize that this Dracula guy, not such a good dude. So he attempts to attack Dracula, but it is, of course, no use. The men rush upstairs where they find Harker unconscious and Mina in the clutches of Dracula. Mina is forced to drink from a bloody wound on Dracula's chest. Van Helsing banishes the Count with a communion wafer. Mina recounts that Dracula swept into their room and threatened to kill Harker if Mina made a noise. He drank her blood, then forced Mina to drink his own blood, thus beginning her slow transformation into the vampire. When Van Helsing holds a communion wafer to Mina's forehead, it burns her and leaves behind a red scar.
I'm sorry, but communion wafers working was my biggest gag of the text.
I know, right? Not crucifixes, they do work. Do they look more dramatic than a communion wafer? Yes, but you know what's the body of Christ? A communion wafer.
The actual literal
thing.
body of Christ, even though English Protestants wouldn't believe that.
Yep.
Here's the deal, though. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there has been, for years, many, many years, a substantial amount of effort given to poking fun at episode 2 of season 1 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, when, upon revealing her trunk of supplies, in it, Buffy has a jar of communion wafers, which I now believe exclusively comes from the source material about vampires, and did not deserve all of the derision it has received over the past decades. Because Buffy could have been throwing these things like ninja stars. Like, what's the deal here?
Yeah. Would have just lit the vampires on fire. Spike dealt with immediately.
Just out of here.
Out of here.
Don't even need it.
He says a quip and then
I loved this. I just and that like we put it on Mina's forehead. It just, the whole thing was very evocative. Just the word communion wafers is sort of comedic gold, and so I had a little trouble not giggling every time I saw it in a paragraph.
That's so funny.
I do think the Eucharist would have been a little bit more impactful.
Mm-hmm.
It would have upped my Latin quotient, and I would have appreciated that. But maybe the people were too stupid for Eucharist.
Possibly. But yes, communion wafers work. Write that down.
Write that down.
Vampire hunters.
Yeah, more of that. You know what? That would have surprised a modern audience. No one would have seen a communion wafer coming.
Yeah, truly.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have even done a Sanderson sisters situation in which the vampire starts to be repelled from it and goes, "No, wait, this isn't a communion wafer. This is a Nilla wafer."
So if we go back to if we adapted Dracula in a different way, what would we do? Oh, we would up the camp.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Obviously. Oh my God.
Camp.
There's no way that the three of us, individually or together, could be involved in a project, and it's not at camp. Like the camp quotient hasn't been dialed up at least 15%.
Yeah.
So true. I really love everything about this scene. I think it's crazy looking. I love how bizarre this imagery is of Dracula's titty on display, basically.
Oh my God.
And Mina
Can we talk about
has
it?
to drink from it.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Please, let's talk about it.
God, because this the visual tableau that Stoker provides here is so instantly evocative. You could see it in your mind's eye, right? We all could immediately be there. It's such a classic boudoir picture, a bodice ripper cover. Immediately I knew exactly what was happening, could picture it perfectly, even with the giant red velvet drapes and Dracula's bride on the cover or something. Jeez, it was so...
I'm glad you brought up the boudoir of it all, because I was getting sort of Fabio vibes from this. That's what was the painting that was sort of presented to me. But I also loved to drink from the breast. Felt like a very we were doing a little bit of maternal coding around Dracula because he's not a man, not yet a woman. But I do really, I liked how picturesque this felt, because I do think if I have a criticism of Stoker's writing is sometimes I never knew what was happening, but then every once in a while he was like, "Oh shit, I got to describe this."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when he does, it's always
really good.
A striking visual. He should do it more.
Yeah.
Well,
It's really good.
let me hop in my time travel machine. Go back to when he was writing this and hey buddy, girly pop, more visual descriptions please, thank you.
Yeah.
Less dirt
I would
boxes.
go back and honestly though, I would go back. I would be like, Bram, first of all, super hot. Let me suck that dick.
Yeah.
But then also, let's up the cinema. You work in theater.
More cinema.
More visuals, oomph, and fewer boxes, please.
Yeah.
I don't need to know this much about 50 boxes of dirt.
So many boxes of dirt.
So many boxes of dirt.
Well, listen, if we're also talking to Bram Stoker, I would love to know how Walt Whitman was.
I mean,
oh yeah,
wild, right? Just uncontrollable.
For sure.
A poet? Ugh, God, I could never. I don't have the patience.
Yeah, but he would have been a rock star back in the day. So
He was a rock star. He was
exactly.
Yeah,
even with that big beard, that probably smelled
what's in there? What's in there? What's he hiding? Who knows?
It's full of secrets.
It's full of secrets. It's like Regina George's hair.
Yeah. You know who else is full of secrets? Count Dracula.
That's right.
So I do want to throw this out here. So we've talked quite a bit about the epistolary nature of this story and how everyone's reading each other's writing or listening to stenograph recordings and or whatever that thing is called. And, they're sharing this information, and they say, like, this is what's going to help us defeat Dracula. And somehow Dracula is able to learn that. Like, maybe it's because he had some sort of psychic connection with Mina or Renfield. He was able to, or he spied on our crew of light, and he saw that that's what they were doing. And so he tries to destroy their source of truth. But thankfully, they created these backups, and so they can still defeat Dracula. But I think it is interesting that Dracula knows, like, this is my big weakness here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marilee.
So it's funny that you should mention Dracula spying at them. We kind of like didn't talk about it. But very early on in that first scene where they're all going, like they've all read the diaries and like talking about it, there's a bit of a fright. And this is I think the thing that like spells to the gentleman that Mina is weaker than them and they have to exclude her, because she gets very shocked when there's a random fucking gunshot, and everybody else is totally fine with it, but she's the only one who reacts hysterically, whatever, because Quincy Morris, apparently, since what happened with Lucy, has been just shooting at any bat that he sees. There was a bat near the window that flew away he didn't get, and like that, Dracula saw them talking about notes. He burned the notes, but either he didn't have the psychic connection yet and didn't know about the duplicates in the safe, or he just didn't have time and didn't get a chance to burn them.
I love it.
Anyway, Quincy Morris shot at Dracula. I think that we all need to remember that, because we're going to talk about more of him in a minute, and I just love that he Texas King.
Quincy Morris shooting at possibly everything. Just anything that moves. I love him. You know, Quincy Morris is part of the Crew of Light, and the Crew of Light is going to find Dracula's boxes of dirt. It's honestly not that interesting, but they do eventually track down Dracula in the sunlight when Dracula is weakened. He taunts the crew, telling them that the women of England shall be his, and that his vengeance shall be long. And then he jumps out a window. Sick! The race is on to find Dracula before he goes into hiding with his final box of dirt. Van Helsing hypnotizes Mina, whose spirit travels to Dracula's body, and while there, she hears the sounds of the sea, and the crew conclude that Dracula is traveling back to Transylvania by ship. Mina convinces the crew of men to let her accompany them, and they concede. However, she also makes all of them, aside from her husband Harker, who couldn't possibly deal with the stress, she makes them swear to kill her if she fully becomes a vampire. Well put, Tyler, who wrote the notes. It honestly is not interesting where these boxes of dirt are. There is a little interest in Dracula moving around in sunlight, which is part of like them discovering Dracula's powers. But I think it would have been more interesting if I knew the geography of London better. Because sometimes they were like, well, he can only cross a river here. And I was like, I don't know where the fucking rivers of London are. Like, girl, I don't know that. Do you know that?
I don't think a modern audience would know that either, because the rivers of London have certainly changed since the novel's publication.
So there's another modern update. I need Dracula to like not be able to use Google Maps during daytime or something. Just like
or we need we need a Tolkien-esque map at the start of the book that's just like a map of, you know, the most important parts of London.
I wouldn't have hated a map of London.
No. Yeah. I do think that this would be a really great scene to depict visually, where they like have like a London A to Z on the table and they're like pointing out stuff. I think that could kill visually.
Yes. Yes.
But if you're just going off of the book and you are not familiar with London, it's actually really hard to like get your foot in the door with this. I do agree.
Yeah, and also, okay, so 50 boxes is like an insane number of boxes to deal with one by one. Mm-hmm. So we don't. But then, for all intents and purposes, to find one is to find them all. It's not an adventure. It's just, we found 49 boxes. Like, period, end of story.
Yep. And then one of them, Dracula was nearby.
Yeah. So he got it. And he lives to blah another day.
The blah. You know what is blah? The misogyny. The misogyny, unfortunately, continues. I think it's great that they do let Mina come along. She is probably the most important person in the remainder of the novel after Lucy dies. And Van Helsing makes a big point of saying to Dr. Seward that Mina is so valuable because she has a man's brain in a woman's body, which, like, how queer how
Yes.
much more queer can you get?
Yes,
Like,
I
that
love that part of it.
Trans
but I hate-
King Mina Harker?
Yeah.
But I think
Or
that,
just like,
I mean, that's a
you know,
good viewing.
non-binary.
That's a good viewing for us. But I think the problem is what Helsing is saying is like, she's no ordinary girl. She can use a typewriter. She's got a man's brain. It read to me as so toxic and gross.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, I never really liked Van Helsing. So anytime he was talking, I was kind of like, get the fuck back to Amsterdam, you loser.
Yeah, the medical misogyny and like the secret keeping, it's very difficult for Van Helsing to recover, in my opinion. For like, I like that other people like him, but for me, it's just really frustrating. I much prefer other Van Helsings than the book Van Helsing. Once he becomes a vampire slayer, that's queer, baby. Being an old man keeping secrets, constantly obsessed with like these young ladies' chastities, metaphorically, not really into it. Also, the interminable doctor exposition of part of this is all from him.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's definitely like the vices of the era, right? Like of course, like saying that she has a man's brain in a woman's body is misogynist as fuck. But like, I'm trying to also think about it as like the time that this was written. Like, that would be like a very progressive thing to say about a woman and be very high praise for her as well. So I like that we can do it. And in that historical sense, I think that is like very queer.
Yeah.
I think that is a very proto-queer thing to say. And I think, again, if you are a queer person and you're just like, I don't know if I want to read something from so long ago when they're all transphobic and stuff, like, we do have evidence that says, like, you know, there was room for places like us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was interpreted in the brains of the time. And so I don't want to knock Van Helsing and the writing too hard in that sense, because it's just of its era. But if we, you know, put on our director hats again and we adapted this and we made it more queer, I would certainly like be much more emphatic about the non-binary nature of Mina. I think it's very interesting to see like a modern interpretation of her, what that would be like. I think Eggers' Nosferatu tries to solve this because they make Van Helsing's character much more like, oh, Mina, you are you're Mina XB. You are so like on another level from these men. You do have an incredible brain and spirit that is different than the men here, and you are more valuable as a result. You are like a sacred princess, you know? And I think that's one way to do it. I don't think it's still like the most ideal way. But I do still think like, okay, we're still kind of addressing that Mina is important in some way, and I think it's cool that we can do that today as well.
Yeah.
You know who else is important? Jonathan Harker. I just love him.
He's our baby. He's our baby girl.
Yeah, he's my little blurbo.
God's favorite princess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just him being like, actually, no, I wouldn't kill you. And then later on being like, if Mina's a vampire, I guess I'm a vampire too. That's what they mean about how vampires expand. Like, justice for our friend Jonathan. Why do adaptations hate you so much, King? Like, the way that they refuse to adapt this brave, like, kind person who chugs I love my wife juice is really a bummer to me.
He's a wife guy.
Well, a man can't show sensitivity or adoration for his wife.
He's a wife guy, and I love him. I love. You know what? We've been talking about it since Ghost Ship. I think I love a character who's a wife guy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's true. A wife guy is great.
Yeah.
And
be a wife guy.
That's why the false wife guys who just hype up their wife as their only personality trait are so insidious. Because everybody does love a wife guy, but you got to have other stuff going on as well.
You gotta have other things. You got to be a second thing. Don't be one thing. Be many things.
Yeah, Harker's a solicitor.
Yeah.
Which we all know what that is.
Yeah. He solicits on the corner.
Oh.
Hey. All right, so the crew...
Merrily, get us away from here.
I genuinely could live in this bit for longer, but I will navigate away only for you, Tyler. The crew of Light travel to Eastern Europe, each member traveling by different methods. Van Helsing continues to hypnotize Mina, although there is a great risk that Dracula can hear her thoughts also. Dun dun dun. The crew of light descend into darkness of Dracula's realm. One horror after another assaults them, and more than one character dreads they will not all survive what is to come. Mina's vampirism worsens. She ceases to respond to the hypnotism Van Helsing performs, and even attempts to seduce him. The horror of horrors, babes. The Brides of Dracula also attack the duo, but Van Helsing is able to ward them off with communion wafers, that essential piece of vampire hunting kit. The crew's horses die in the bride's wake. Eventually, Van Helsing and Mina come upon Dracula's castle and his tomb. Van Helsing credits Harker's journals with his ability to evade Dracula's traps. After killing the brides, he places a communion wafer in Dracula's tomb, essentially cleansing the area and preventing Dracula from finding a resting place.
Yeah, this is where I was sort of like at 11 for the book. Like I just didn't want to stop because we finally got to the action.
Yeah.
And the action was so good. There were a couple parts where I was confused. I never really understood why the horses died.
From fear.
Yeah.
Oh.
They died of fright.
Yeah, they, like Mrs. Westenra, had very sensitive female hearts, and somebody said boo loudly and they just fell over dead.
I was like, oh, the horses are just dead. And I was like, can I go back and figure out why? And I was like, no, David, just got to keep going. You just got to keep going.
Can I make a medicine check to figure out why the horses died? No. We got to keep going. We have to finish this session. We're already over time.
It's not important, David. You're going on vacation next week. We can't do this last thing without you. Let's just get to the boss.
Yeah. I just after such a again, the pacing of this novel in the second half has a lot of issues. And so when we got to this, it was like, oh yeah, we had been simmering on a low flame. Rank up the boiler, we're cooking with gas. Like this is boiling on the boil water for large heavy pot only, because otherwise the flames will go up over the sides. I'm talking about stovetops too much. Sorry. Somebody take this away from me.
Wild metaphor.
But you got what I was saying, right?
I totally get what you're saying. I like the Mina of all of this. I like Mina sort of flirting with turning. I always kind of felt like she was a whisper away from like being a turncoat and honestly being an enemy. Mm-hmm. I'm glad we never got there, because I think ultimately it was more fun that she never like totally turned evil. But the threat felt very present in the entire section that we're talking about here.
Yeah, I agree. Part of me wishes that there was more to it than just these last two chapters, but I think they're actually written and edited well enough that I'm like, this thing happens and I'm like, scary. Okay, what's the next thing that happens? I don't feel like we need to like belabor it too long. So I like that we don't have too many sequences of Mina sort of flirting with becoming a vampire, because like once is enough, because the description of Mina is so scary when she starts to give into the vampirism. Mm-hmm. I really love how that was done. Yeah, agreed. Hard agree. It's just all so good. One thing that I'm just now realizing, what a fun parallel. Sorry to throw us off topic, but Mina has that scar on her forehead from like the vampire wafer, right? Dracula also described with a scar on his forehead from where Jonathan hit him in the face with the shovel. Mm-hmm. They're lovers. They're connected more than psychically. They're narrative foils, almost. Not really, but they have this thing in common. And hey, that goes back to our original theme about vampirism, queerness, and liminality, because Mina is something else. She's not fully human. She's not fully vampire. She's something very queer. And Dracula has elements to him that showcase the negative aspects of those things, the darker side. So Dracula is kind of like his or her shadow. And I love that. I love whenever we have a character in their shadow, like a foil. So I think it's really cool. And I like, again, like she doesn't fully go over because that wouldn't really work thematically, but she comes close to it just enough to make us nervous that Dracula's going to win. Yeah. And I think on that note, we should talk about the end of Dracula. Yeah, we're here. We have we vanquished him? No, we've only cleaned his dirt up. So what's left to do? Mina's condition responds positively to Van Helsing's actions. They wait, and dusk approaches. Suddenly, in the snow flurries, they see Dracula's coach approaching. Van Helsing proclaims that only God can help them. Shortly after, 2 horsemen are on the horizon, Harker and Quincy Morris. Everyone pulls out guns. The wind blows in fierce bursts. The sun is setting. Mina describes the scene. Dracula, pursued by the remaining members of the Crew of Light. Dracula's allies attack, and the crew respond in kind. Harker and Seward open Dracula's coffin, and Dracula sees the sunset. He looks on with triumph, then horror, as Harker plunges his kukri knife into Dracula's heart, and Seward saws off his head. Dracula's body turns to dust, but Mina notes that there is a look of peace that washes over his face. Unfortunately, Quincy Morris, our cowboy lover, has received a fatal wound. He points out that Mina's forehead scar is gone, and that it was all worth it as he dies. 7 years later, Harker and Mina have a son that they have named Quincy. The novel that we have been reading is their collected works, admittedly unverifiable. Van Helsing says that it's okay if no one believes their tale, because young Quincy will know of his incredible mother through it.
R.I.P. our Cowboy King.
All right, not only R.I.P., but I'm so sad that the last thing you got to do was be like, here is some plot important information, remember me, and then he's dead. It was a little sad that he couldn't be like, Mina, I've always loved you, I always loved Lucy, I just am a lover of lovers, I love people, let me love, bang bang, shoot shoot, and just die in that sort of bravado. I kind of was a little winded by like, your scar is gone. It just felt a little saccharine at the end for Quincy.
Yeah,
he
did deserve better. However, it's pretty obvious you could tell why he gets cut from so many different adaptations, because he's just there to be like additional muscle. There are 3 guys, you might as well cut him. And that is such a shame, because he really, in my opinion, adds a lot to the narrative. If only the thing that he's adding is that I love him.
Yes.
He's a personality hire.
100%. And as personality hires, I think that we can all relate to that.
Oh, I love a personality hire. They are so critically important. And I'm so happy that he is in our polyamorous crew of light, because he does provide some much needed, just like, character vibes. You know, you just kind of need someone that is there kind of as a good vibe. Yeah. And I'm glad that we have a cowboy randomly inserted into our Victorian horror novel.
I mean, it's not so random. It was inserted because somebody thinks that's fucking hot. And you know what?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And Bram Stoker's not here. He's dead, so he can't tell us that we're wrong. So it's fact.
Yeah, except I've been here the whole time.
No!
My God, it's a rotting skull?
I can't believe I did a mask reveal as if my face doesn't look like Bram Stoker.
True. Oh, man. What do we think about this ending? Like, I found it to be very electric and satisfying.
Yes. The crisis point was great. The sort of afterwards, heterosexuals got married and had a baby. I sort of hate any time a novel does that. Mm-hmm. It was a nice way to be like, where do these notes go? Because again, we didn't talk about it when Dracula destroyed the notes, but I had that same thing that I had last week where I was like, oh no, he destroyed the notes. They don't have their notes anymore. And I was like, David, you're reading their notes. So it can't have possibly got them all.
That's so funny.
But I did, I mean, so that part I did appreciate, but I didn't necessarily need like, oh, we named our son after the cowboy lover who died. That always just hits me the wrong way. I don't really like when novels do that, but I loved the conflict. I loved this sort of zenith of affairs. I loved Dracula almost feeling like he won just to get fucking shanked. And then his head sawed off. It was great.
I did like how Jonathan was the one who killed him, because again, he's our final girl. He gets to deliver the final blow. Alternatively, this is finally Dracula and Jonathan fucking.
Yeah. Put in your...
I think so. I think that totally fits. I mean, if it happened with Lucy and Homewood, then I think that's totally valid for it to be Harker and Dracula.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to believe that Harker's got a little bit more that he's packing than a kukri knife, but whatever, that's fine.
I mean, kukri knives are really big.
Oh, are they?
And crooked.
Yeah.
Oh. They've got a shape to them.
A little curve. I don't mind that.
Yeah, actually, they do have a little curve to them, so not bad. There actually is quite a lot of critical, like academic research out there about the kukri knife.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's really randomly inserted, but it kept a name. Like, this is his knife that he's got somehow.
Yeah, it's considered kind of like an exotic, weapon. So for Harker to be using it, it's kind of using it against like another sort of exotic creature. There's some interesting colonialism to it, but you know, an Orientalism. Unfortunately, this is a little outside the scope of what we do here at Fear Coded. But I do think that's really interesting. So definitely, if that is something that's up your alley, check that out. But overall, I found this to be like a really solid ending. I like that it still does feel queer at the end, because even though it is a little saccharine, it's a Victorian novel. They're all like that. You know, at least like Quincy is bouncing on Van Helsing's knee, and we know that they all are still connected to one another. So the polyamory, I feel, is still there. It's just like, okay, now, you know, everyone's having relationships with the other members of the unit. So I think it's cool. I think it still works. They're still queer as hell.
Can we talk about the notes as the reason why they're included, right, is because Van Helsing says that at least baby Quincy can know how like a badass his mom was specifically, right? I just would love to point out that I love that Mina survives the narrative, and so like a lot of the time in fiction, when the comfort is that we have this collection of stuff so that the child can know about their parent being cool, generally the parent is dead. So, like, again, this has nothing to do with the actual novel itself. It's a extra context stuff. But if you see a sentence like that, it's generally because the parent's dead, and I get extra pleasure knowing that Mina is alive.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, Gain, how did we feel about the second half of Bram Stoker's Dracula in terms of horror or queerness after our conversation? Do you have any other final thoughts for this episode?
We said it at the top, but second half, not as good as the first half. What I really wanted was more Renfield, more Seward. And so this note was here before Marilee brought it up, and I have Google Doc evidence to prove it. Less Dracula. I loved the conflict. I loved these set pieces. I loved the cinematic quality of the action pieces, but if we had taken all this away and made him a little bit more mysterious and a little bit more of this happened off screen, I might have been really here for it. And as it was, I mean, I did get to a page turning point where I just couldn't put the book down, but it took so much to get there. And I really could have done without Boxes of Dirt being such a set piece in the middle of the second half of the book.
I know, like, I get that it was intended to make it seem like the threat of Dracula is omnipresent. And I think the best vampire stories do that. I think I've talked about that before. One of the reasons why I really love Midnight Mass and why I was sad I wasn't able to be here for that recording was because I think Midnight Mass correctly nailed that vibe, where it's like, we're going up against a vampire and it feels hopeless. What the fuck are we going to do? Right. I love that. And I do get some of that from Bram Stoker's Dracula, but unfortunately it's also pretty boring. Yeah. So it doesn't totally work. I think everything is so much better when we can focus on the like conflict and competence of our crew of light. I like when they are interacting with more mysterious elements as opposed to like Joe Dock Worker. So like anything with Renfield was great.
Yes.
And then I think everything with Lucy, like her death scene is fantastic. But maybe like if we had a little bit more Lucy time, if it wasn't the stupid Bloofer lady and she was called something better. Maybe if she did actually kill some kids, like let's see that havoc be wrought. Let's get a child vampire in there. But I guess probably wouldn't have allowed that in the time period.
Yeah.
Marilee, what did you end up thinking of Dracula?
I love it. I still love the book. Again, it's not a perfect novel, but I think it's a really good one, especially for the time period. I think that it does hold up, and I think I would genuinely be thrilled by an adaptation of Dracula. Again, I can't believe, even though I have a very firmly held opinion we need more original movies, I keep talking about I'd like this remake, I'd like this other thing, but I would love an adaptation that actually does justice to the book in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be an exact adaptation. Obviously, you should change things when you are adapting something to the screen, but this hasn't been adapted to the screen. Parts of it have been cut out and pasted on there, but give me the boyfriends. Give me Jonathan as he actually is. Give me queer Dracula. I would like that. Please and thank you.
Yeah. Have it be a framing story from Quincy Harker with like his new bride, where he's like, hey, here are all these weird notes that I got from my mom. Let's read them and let me tell you this story about how my mom was a badass.
Yeah. Like, I would love that. Can I talk to you about Dracula Daily on Tumblr yet again?
Yes.
I keep bringing this up because I do think it's kind of critical to my appreciation of the novel now. It's been 3 years. This is a thing that keeps happening. And I want to tell you guys about the time loop.
Okay.
So Dracula Daily is an email that comes out. The book, again, it's sequentially numbered. Every entry is dated. It starts on May 3rd and it runs to mid-November, I think. And every year, this server will just email people that's on the list, which has led to a very bizarre Tumblr culture of the idea that Dracula is a time loop, that you go, it's like all of the events of Dracula happen, and then May rolls around again, and Jonathan is back on the stagecoach to Dracula's castle. And he talks in that very first entry about queer dreams. And so the idea that Jonathan and all of these narratives are trapped in this time loop is a fun meta narrative that Tumblr has accidentally created. And it's one of my favorite things about enjoying Dracula on the internet.
Tumblr does such silly things with creating new canons and films that don't exist.
Yeah.
That's cute though.
Right?
I think everyone should subscribe to our Patreon and hear us talk about Time Poop, which was in this month's creepypastas. So Time Loop? No, Time Poop.
I'm leaving this immediately. Thank you all so much for listening to this episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Did you know that we live in the Glitterjaw HQ just like Dr. Seward and his polyamorous crew of light that live in the asylum? It's not true, but you can follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at Fear Coded Pod for more horrifying facts.
And if you'd like to support the podcast and hear the aforementioned bonus episode, you can join the rats in our tombs and subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/fearcodedpodcast. You can show your appreciation at one of 3 levels with accompanying bonus content starting at the $3 level.
And as always, Fear Coded is a proud part of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective. If you'd like to listen to more queer media podcasts, check out the full roster of shows at glitterjaw.com.
And don't forget that on the 31st of this month, we are doing our own tell-all story with another seasonal Q&A episode. So if you'd like to poke the brains of this crew of light, you simply need to ask your questions by emailing us at fearcodedpod@gmail.com or DMing our podcast's Blue Sky or Instagram accounts. You can also use the commenting function on Spotify. We will answer any questions submitted by October 24th. And join us next time as we continue Drac-tober by staring into Bela Lugosi's hypnotic gaze in 1931's Dracula. But for now, we will simply say goodbye.
Bye!
Goodbye.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something. You may not understand, but I'm a thirsty vampire. I want to bite your head. Shoot. I want to bite your
You know what? I should have listened to it on Amazon because my version was inaudible.
Hey.
I know you think it's grand when I fly in your window. Just let me bite your hand. Just let me bite your hand.
Merrily,
Yeah,
I
for
know...
I want to bite your hand.
Here, it's okay. I'll go back.
No,
David,
I'm
leave that
gone.
in.
Ah!
No!
Inside.
Listeners, David's insulation is falling apart right now, and because I'm speaking to you directly, I know he's going to have to keep all of this in.
Keep it all in. Keep it all in.
Merrily, while David is doing that, can you tell me how you feel about, like, found families and how the found family affected you?
I think you understand that I feel that something. I want to bite your hand.
Sorry, I was trying to come up with a joke about a blob and a heart, and I'm struggling. I was just thinking about the blob, and as normally happens when I do that,
Clusters.
I lose
It's
all
true.
track of my words.
The vapors. Oh my goodness.
Oh, the vapors.
It's so delicious that my thirst I can't hide.
Lucy Western.
Oh my
Fuck me.
god.
God damn it. I cursed you. I cursed you by putting it out there.
You got that something. I think you understand. When I feel that something.
Dracula Attaculus Renfield and kills him.
Sure, I want to bite your hair. I want to bite your hair.